Well, everyone, it's time for us to go and take a look at the Google Pixel 7a and compare it against the iPhone 11 and see which specific phone you should go ahead and pick up. Now, both these phones are fairly different, but they do have their own quirks and features that we'll go and talk about throughout this video. But if you want to pick up some phones I would recommend buying this year, links will be down in the description. You can get them from there and you can help support the channel at the same time. Now, starting off side by side, these two phones are fairly different. So the Pixel 7a is a brand new mid-tier phone that came out in 2023. The iPhone 11 is kind of like a $699 phone that came out in 2019. So it's very interesting that these two phones are even, you guys are even interested in seeing a comparison. Somebody's watching this because you're watching this right now. So it's very interesting because this is kind of random, but not really, I guess. Now, on the outside, the iPhone 11, like I said, that came out in 2019, had a 6.1-inch IPS panel on the front. Now, this was a pretty basic panel, 750p, nothing crazy. We've seen phones like this before. I don't know why I have so many apps open. We've seen phones like this before from Apple, and this was the last time they used an IPS panel on like their iPhone mainline build besides their iPhone SEs. And it's an okay panel. It's definitely not that bad, but I would definitely say compared to other phones, even the 7a, like it may have a better display. But this thing's still decent. You have the notch up top. You have a thicker amount of bezel around this phone for sure, compared to some newer devices. It's not ugly though, and I do like this phone a lot, but definitely compared to some other devices, this one is definitely a little bit more outdated when it definitely comes down to it. Now with the Pixel 7a on the other hand, this is a $499 phone now, so it was cheaper than what the iPhone 11 was back then, but the iPhone 11 is substantially cheaper now in the used market. On the Pixel 7a, you are getting another 6.1-inch, basically an OLED display on the front of this thing, which is pretty nice. I think it looks pretty good. It definitely it's an OLED display, so it's high resolution. It's OLED, definitely, I think, a better display overall than the iPhone 11, but it's also a 90 Hz panel as well, which is another pretty big asset. When you're getting a phone like the Pixel 7a, this is going to be a phone that's actually going to be giving you better, I guess, a better display and just a better performing type of phone with its display, in my opinion. You have a thinner amount of bezel, and it's a hole punch display too. Like, this is definitely a far better looking panel than the iPhone 11. It's a far better looking phone as well. Now, in terms of thinness and thickness, you can kind of tell for yourself that the iPhone 11, I don't know if it's a thinner or thicker phone. They're both kind of roughly around the same thing. I think the Pixel 7a is a longer phone this way, but the iPhone 11 is a wider phone, if that makes any sense. You're also getting, I think, a bigger camera bump on the Pixel 7a as well, which is kind of expected. SIM card trays on this phone as well. On the bottom, Lightning port on the iPhone 11, a USB-C port on the bottom of the Pixel 7a. On the back of both of these phones, you can kind of see that we also have two different stylings. So they might look the same, but you are getting a glass back on the iPhone 11. But on the Pixel 7a, you're actually getting a plastic back on the Pixel 7a. Now, funny enough, if I was just using these phones and I wouldn't even really was paying attention, I would assume they're both glass backs. But the fact that this is a plastic back kind of surprises me a little bit more. I don't know, they feel very similar, but I can definitely tell you after feeling both for a while now, I guess this is a plastic back, but man, it is a decent plastic back, and some of you guys would be surprised if just ask people if it's glass or plastic, and they probably wouldn't be able to tell the difference. So both of them have IP certification, both of them have wireless charging. They're both pretty good phones. I like both of them a lot. I think the Pixel 7a probably looks better as of now, but the iPhone 11 probably is built a little bit better because it does actually have a glass back, and that is a little bit more of a premium feature than what we're kind of getting on the iPhone, than on the Pixel 7a. So, and that kind of covers it up there. In terms of software and longevity, this is going to be another pretty big asset, I would say, for the Pixel 7a. The iPhone 11 is probably going to get maybe like another 2 years of software, maybe 3 years if we're lucky. I think the 7a is probably also going to last around that same time too, which is kind of surprising. So I'm not 1,000% too sure like which phone's going to last the longest amount here. But if I had to kind of guess, potentially the iPhone 11 is not going to last as long as the Pixel 7a, but that's kind of expected. This phone's like 4 years old now. This phone just came out. So the fact that we were kind of like thinking about them maybe not lasting the same amount of time is pretty insane. iPhones last a very long time. Now let's go and do a speed comparison between both these phones. The iPhone 11 has that Apple A13 Bionic chip inside of it with 4 gigabytes of RAM, but the Pixel 7a has that has that Google Tensor G2 chipset inside of it with 8 gigs of RAM. So let's go and see which one's a faster phone between both. Okay, there we go. All the apps are cleared out in the background, so let us get into it. Phone calls, 3, 2, 1. Okay, the iPhone 11 was faster there. Let's go and do their cameras, 3, 2, 1. Okay, different types of things. Let's go and hop out of this one. Let's go and get into their Play Store App Store. 3, 2, 1. Okay, Pixel 7a definitely faster there, but we are not on Wi-Fi here and we are on Wi-Fi here, so that's probably why. Totally okay. Let's go and hop out of this one. We do have some of these third-party applications we can open up on both, so let's get into it. So Netflix, which do have 3, 2, 1. Okay, let's go and hop out of here. Let's do Quizlet. 3, 2, 1. Pixel 7a slightly faster. Thank you. 3, 2, 1. Okay, Pixel 7a is the faster one. iPhone 11, it's definitely a little bit slower, not the biggest deal in the world, but something to keep in mind. Dropbox, 3, 2, 1. Okay, hopping out of here. BOFA, 3, 2, 1. Okay, I did click it on the iPhone 11. I don't know why it didn't open. We did get into this other pop-up here. iPhone 11. So, okay, I don't really know what to call that one. Temple Run 2, 3, 2, 1. And the Pixel 7a, it looks like to be a little bit faster here. But like I mentioned with the iPhone 11, the iPhone 11's always been a pretty decent performing phone. But sometimes Temple Run 2 gets stuck on those like downloading content things. Let's go and click play, 3, 2, 1. Now pay attention to the beginning. Sometimes there can be lots of glitches. I guess it glitched up in the beginning. The iPhone 11 glitched up a little bit right there. But I think they both did pretty good right there. Let's go and hop out of these two. Let's go and try Facebook, 3, 2, 1. Okay, two different panels. Twitter, 3. Skip that one. Let's just go and do stack. 3, 2, 1. So I definitely do think that if one of them had to be faster, maybe the Pixel 7a could potentially be the faster one when it came down to it. I think that's a pretty cool thing. Again, when you're getting a phone like the Pixel 7a, it's newer, it's faster, it's going to be the better phone probably. But the iPhone 11 was still keeping up a lot of the time. So in terms of that, that kind of covers it up there. Now in terms of the camera quality, I will always say that with something like the Pixel 7a, it's going to be a good camera, but I'm still very happy with the way Apple has approached their iPhones because they are very solid cameras that hold up very well. 4K at 60 on the back of both of them. You are getting 4K at 60 on the front of the iPhone 11, but on the front of the Pixel 7a, you're getting 4K at 30. Wide and ultra-wide cameras on the back of both of them as well, which is really nice. Now with a phone like the iPhone 11, I personally do think that this type of device is still a very good camera for the most part. I've always felt like for the whole entire duration of time, Apple's killed it with their camera sensors, and I've always felt like that's something that's going really, really well for something like the iPhone 11. So you're getting video mode, you're getting time-lapse, portrait mode, panorama mode. Solid camera for sure, and I definitely do think this is a camera I would look at and be very, very happy with. Something like the Pixel 7a, I think this is also a very good camera too. You know, this camera gets a thumbs up for me for sure, and you're getting things like 0.5x zoom here, 8x zoom, so you're getting more zooming in capability than the iPhone 11, which is pretty surprising. You're still maintaining things like portrait mode, long exposure, getting video mode, getting more modes here as well. So it's a very solid camera, and I don't know if it's better than the iPhone 11, but it's still a really good camera for sure. So to kind of sum it up, what I'll tell you is I definitely love the Pixel 7a. I love, love, love the iPhone 11, but I don't know. I think the Pixel 7a is a good phone. I just wouldn't buy it brand new. Like I think it's overpriced in the brand new market. I think if you have the ability to buy a used Pixel 7, that would be a better deal. Or buy a used iPhone 13 or one of those phones. I don't think I would buy a brand new one of these. I don't think they're worth the price necessarily. I think the iPhone 11 is a good phone if you have it, keep it. But I think this might be a better price in the used market. If you can buy it for like $300, I'd probably recommend buying this one over this one in my opinion. So that pretty much covers it up. If you have any other thoughts or questions, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that'll mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out.